Coming up on Network Africa. South Africa calls for total restraint of security forces in Eswatini, where activists say people have been killed during protests. Top court in South Africa reaffirms President Cyril Ramaphosa did not deliberately mislead lawmakers about donations to his presidential campaign. Plus, Boko Haram fighters pledge allegiance to the Islamic State West African province weeks after leader Abubakar Shekau's death. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Teniola Shoboale. We begin in South Africa, which apparently is very concerned about violence during protests going on in neighboring Eswatini. Activists say at least 8 people have been killed so far. The South African Foreign Ministry released a statement saying the South African government calls on the security forces to exercise total restraint and protect the lives and property of the people. Adds that we are particularly concerned by reports of loss of life and destruction of properties. Getting information from the landlocked nation with the last absolute monarch in Africa has been difficult as the internet has been shut off and a curfew imposed. The government denies King Mswati III fled to South Africa on Monday night when protests intensified this week. Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been cleared by the country's top court of deliberately misleading lawmakers about donations made to his campaign to lead the ruling party back in 2017. The public persecutor and anti-graft watchdog had been unhappy with last year's ruling by the High Court, which found that President Ramaphosa did not, as alleged, intentionally mislead Parliament about fundraising and donations. These included 500,000 rand deposited into Ramaphosa's son's AIDS account. Public protector Busiswe Makwebani had also alleged in a 2019 report that there was a prima facie evidence of money laundering involving millions of rands in the campaign to succeed Jacob Zuma. President Ramaphosa denied this when he took her report for a legal review, winning the case in the High Court last year.
But instead of making the finding that the president did not willfully mislead Parliament, the public protector effectively changed the wording of paragraph 2.3a to include deliberate or inadvertent misleading of the legislature so as to cover the situation where willfulness was not established. On the basis of the changed code, the public protector concluded that the president, open quote, inadvertently and/or deliberately misled Parliament in that he should have allowed himself sufficient time to consider the question and make a well-informed response, close quote. The public protector was wrong to change the code. She could not have conceivably thought that willfully could mean inadvertently. These words are mutually exclusive. What she did went beyond the parameters of interpretation, but the finding itself is framed in terms that are concerning.
Well, staying in the region, journalists in Mozambique have accused the police of assaulting 3 of their colleagues who were investigating alleged detention of young people. The youths were allegedly detained at a police in the northern Nampula province over links to a video that had captured a police officer assaulting a vendor. The Mozambique branch of the Media Institute for Southern Africa said the TV journalists were assaulted and detained when they went to interview the arrested youths at the station. Meanwhile, the Mozambican military says it has rescued hundreds of civilians abducted by militants in the Cabo Delgado province. Army Commander Gustavo Tume says those rescued were mainly women and children, and they would be handed over to the authorities for social support. He says militants were still active in Palma district, although the security of the area was considered to be under control. And still on security matters, a group of fighters from the Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram have pledged allegiance to rival group the Islamic State West African province weeks after the former group's leader died. In the video obtained by Reuters news agency, some Boko Haram members are seen pledging their allegiance, fueling fears that ISWAP is consolidating control of the insurgency in northwestern Nigeria following the death of Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau last month. Some analysts think that if ISWAP absorbs Boko Haram, it could focus attention on attacking the Nigerian military. Dr. Onaikomo is the President, Association of Industrial Security and Safety Operators of Nigeria. Is also Chairman, Transworld Security. He joins us now from Lagos Island. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you, Ms. Teniola.
You're very welcome, sir. So what do you make of the video? And could this, really be Boko Haram and ISWAP fighters? What are your initial thoughts to this video?
Thank you very much. Well, it's a troubling video. If what it purports to portray is true, then we have another thing coming for us in Nigeria in terms of this accelerated insecurity that we have and multiplicity of insurgencies that we have around the country. Now, what are the factors? First of all, I am yet to sign in on that fact that Shekau is in fact dead. Now, this is a month and a half. We haven't heard anything from Shekau. So it is possible that he's dead, but I don't have forensic proof of that fact. So I'm just going to take it for granted. Let's just assume Shekau is in fact dead. Now, we know that Boko Central had a larger army, had a larger following, or had a larger fighter group than ISWAP. ISWAP ran a different model of their insurgency, but Boko Central ran a certainly different one. Boko Central was in charge of central Borno, down to southern Borno, down to Mandara Mountains. Now, ISWAP was in charge of the Lake Chad Basin area, northern Borno, Lake Chad Basin area. Now, ISWAP has come into Sambisa Forest, attacked Shekau, and claims that Shekau detonated a suicide vest and killed himself on May 18th. Now, we don't have further verification of that, aside from ISWAP saying that. However, if we see some Boko Central members, that is Boko Haram members, now pledging bayat, that's loyalty to ISWAP, it's concerning because it means they're actually linking up. Now, we know that if they link up, of course, they become a more formidable force, and it becomes more trouble for Nigeria. That is really my initial thought on this.
If this alliance is indeed taking place, just tell us what this could mean for the fight against insurgency in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Well, it's going to give it an amplitude like we've not seen before, because Boko had more members, but Boko was a little more localized. Boko is, let's say, the local boys in terms of this insurgency. Now, ISWAP is an international insurgency. It's an international jihadi movement. ISWAP is the same guys who are conducting, well, not ISWAP, this is West African Project. Yeah, ISWAP, in fact, they are the ones conducting the attacks in Burkina Faso, killing people in Mali, the attacks in Niger. They are the same people, the same group all the way from Algeria down into Nigeria. So, of course, certainly they have aspirations to become bigger, to in fact create an enclave. If you remember what happened, ISWAP was expelled by the US and other Western nations from Syria and Iraq. The territory, the real estate they had there, they were expelled from there. So they are looking for a new home to birth. They went to Libya, they've been expelled from Libya. So where else to go but a soft area like Nigeria and West Africa, where you have fragile security or fragile governments, if you may. So that is the danger of it, because if ISWAP were to really get a solid foothold in Nigeria, now they are, of course, they are already in the northwest, operating in the Lake Chad Basin area. If they were to move move westward to the northwest, we have really big problem, because we now have a nationwide insurgency, not just the insurgency right now that is still localized in the northeast. We just have much more to deal with in terms of this grave security threat.
Yeah, Dr. Okomo, just before I let you go, why has it been so hard to curb the insurgency, though, which first began in the northeast and is now in the northwest? This is concerning, as this is where you have a lot of banditry taking place.
In fact, Mr. Niola, that is the real danger, because what we have seen happening is that Boko Central, Ansaru, that's Ansaru, you see all these Greenfield University attacks in Kaduna. You see the Afaka, that's a College of Forestry Mechanization attack in Afaka in Kaduna. You see a lot of that attacks, even Tegina in Niger State. Those are all attacks that are conducted by Ansaru. Ansaru is an expert, is adept in kidnap and ransom, K&R. Now, so if you have a situation where Boko Central is coming, is linking up with ISWAP, is coming from the northeast, linking up with Ansaru that's now operational in the north central, that not necessarily in Kaduna, that is northwest, and in that Kajuru, all those local governments there where you have all the problems in Kaduna State. Now, move that, take a line up to the northwest and link up with Zamfara, Katsina, and all those states there. Niger State, of course, where the governor Bello has said that Boko is active in that state. So you have a problem where we are going to soon be facing so many wars on so many fronts. And if they can get these Fulani bandit criminals to join them, so it will change the mission now from just economic jihad to a full-blown religion, ideology-based jihad, which is even harder to tackle than what we have at hand right now.
All right then, Dr. Okomo, President, Association of Industrial Security and Safety Operators of Nigeria. Thank you so much for your thoughts on Network Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.
The UK government is reportedly seeking answers to the circumstances surrounding the arrest of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. The 53-year-old holds both British and Nigerian citizenship and faces treason-related charges in Nigeria. He fled Nigeria in 2017 while on bail. He was saying his life was in danger. He was rearrested on Sunday, as announced by the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, who gave no further details of how, when, or where he was captured. The British government has declared that Mr. Kanu was not arrested in the UK nor extradited from there, but it expects that Kanu's trial would follow due process. We'll have more on this in a moment. Plus, one Zimbabwean shares his grass to grace story, but it's not in an industry you're thinking. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. As mentioned earlier, the UK government is reportedly seeking answers to the circumstances surrounding the arrest of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. We now have joining us immigration lawyer in the UK, Mr. Dayo Fadino. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Fadino. I know we cannot speculate at this point the circumstances surrounding the arrest, but you have to agree it is quite unusual for a Nigerian citizen to be arrested and deported without the knowledge of the host country where he's been picked from, right?
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon. In sooth, it is quite unusual for any Nigerian citizen to be arrested and deported without the knowledge of the host country. A very strange situation and strange circumstances. The Attorney General of Nigeria, I was listening to him about 2 days ago. Till date, he has not actually disclosed what country Nnamdi Kanu was, arrested or, detained. He has also not disclosed whether there was in fact any form of legal proceedings to do with an extradition treaty in between that particular country was picked up and Nigeria. And the circumstances are so strange and a little bit confusing for so many people, because if it's the case that he was picked up and picked up in any country, that would be very, very disturbing. For him to just be abducted and brought back to Nigeria, it's all speculation. But the fact that the Attorney General is not ready to disclose where he was picked up and whether there was any form of arrangements or legal arrangements in between host country and Nigeria, we are going to continue speculating and not know of the full facts of the situation.
Yeah, there are lots of questions, and the UK government says it's seeking an explanation from the Nigerian government on the arrest. Does the Nigerian government owe them that? And does the method of arrest and deportation violate any international conventions?
Yes. The Nigerian government indeed owes the British government an explanation as to the circumstances surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's arrest. First of all, Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen. So the British government has every reason and every right to know of his situation and where he was arrested, his present condition as to where he is. Because indeed, if it was the case that there was no legal proceedings from the country where he was arrested, just picked up and put onto a plane and brought back to Nigeria, that would be quite illegal. It will be illegal, an illegal abduction, I would say. It would also be an illegal detention of the person, and that would be in breach of his human rights, really. And indeed, there would also be a breach of, a few international conventions as far as international law is concerned.
Nnamdi Kanu faces treason-related charges. He still deserves a trial, a fair one. But given his history and the charges before him, can he still be entitled to one? And what could the legal procedures from here on out?
First of all, Nnamdi Kanu is entitled to a fair, transparent, open hearing. And is also entitled to be treated fairly. Because at the end of the day, if justice is to be done concerning all the charges against him, it cannot be seen by the whole world that this man is not been treated fairly or heard fairly in the court of law. I remember the last time he was detained. I think this was in 2015 or so. It took a long time before they could even bring any charges against him. In fact, he was in jail for, I think, a few years before being released on bail. And I hope this is not going to continue this time around. I hope there's a swift hearing of this very particular matter. After all, the Nigerian government believes that they have all these charges against him and that they could prove these charges in court ASAP. So I hope he's not going to be detained for too long, and I hope this situation is addressed ASAP. Or else, if it's the case that he's not treated fairly and he's not been given a fair hearing, it could spell disaster really for Nigeria, because whether hates Nnamdi Kanu or like him, there are so many supporters of Nnamdi Kanu, particularly in the south eastern part of Nigeria, and I don't think they will be sitting tight and believing that if anything should go wrong with him or anything happens to him, they would not even agree to that at all. So I hope there's a swift, fair hearing and it's treated under the rule of law.
All right, then, Mr. Dayo Fadinal, thank you so much for your thoughts on Network Africa.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And still on diplomatic relations here in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Chinese government on the occasion of the CPC's centenary. Both countries share relations that span more than 50 years. In a letter to the Chinese leader, the president said China had succeeded in building a moderately prosperous society and is on the way to building a modern socialist country. President Buhari also affirmed that relations between the two nations have witnessed an increasingly enhanced political trust, closer mutual beneficial economic and trade relations, and dynamic people-to-people exchange between Nigeria and China. Meanwhile, in his address to party members and indeed the world, Chinese President Xi Jinping warned foreign powers that they will get their heads bashed if they attempt to bully or influence his country.
Party of China, President Xi Jinping, today presented to the world a thriving China that is advancing with unstoppable momentum towards rejuvenation. The CPC is rallying and leading the Chinese people on a new journey towards realizing the second centenary goal of building a modern socialist country, he says, noting that a century ago, at the time of its founding, the CPC had just over 50 members. Today, with more than 95 million members in a country of more than 1.4 billion people, it is the largest ruling party in the world and enjoys tremendous international influence. He also noted that the great founding spirit of the CPC is the party's source of strength. Over the past 100 years, he says, the party has carried forward this great founding spirit. Through its protracted struggles, it has developed a long line of inspiring principles for Chinese communists and tempered a distinct political character. As history has kept moving forward, the spirit of the party has been passed on from generation to generation. President Xi stressed the need to root out any viruses that would erode the party's health. As part of celebrations today, representatives of the Chinese Communist Youth League members and young pioneers saluted the Communist Party. Representatives even read out a poem to express commitment to the party's cause. Today, they said, we stand at the Tiananmen Square close to the heart of the motherland. Before the gathering at Tiananmen Square was an air echelon flying over the square, escorting the flag of the CPC. The flag was carried by a transport helicopter and guarded by 2 armed helicopters on both sides. Later, residents gathered to take photos of the military flyovers and to sing the revolutionary songs of the Communist Party.
And finally on the program, Tinashe Nyamudoka left his home in Zimbabwe to seek greener pastures in neighboring South Africa. He had never tasted wine. That was 11 years ago. Today, he's a renowned sommelier with his own brand. Let's find out how he did it.
Years ago, Tinashe left Zimbabwe to work as a waiter in a restaurant in South Africa, where he tasted wine for the very first time. Today, he not only knows wine, he's become a renowned sommelier who also owns his own wine brand called Kumasha, which means home or origin in Shona.
It took a while to get traction, but once people really got into wine, man, it's been doing phenomenally well. I have to be humble and honest and grateful about it. I'm exporting wines into America, into Zimbabwe, into Kenya, into Holland, and soon into the UK and Nigeria, and everywhere it's landing, people love it and it's selling out. So I have to say I'm really grateful that I'm making delicious wines that people are enjoying.
The 36-year-old stars in a new documentary, Blind Ambition, which follows the journey of Zimbabwe's first sommeliers to take part in the Blind Wine Tasting Championships in France in 2017 and 2018.
I think I actually do believe in this.
The film, which had its world premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York 3 weeks ago, clinched the Audience Award for Best Documentary. The four men left Zimbabwe at the height of the country's economic crisis more than a decade ago in search of work and have become some of Africa's top wine experts.
Us making our own team and us knowing each other and be able to train and taste together, drink lots of wine we're not really exposed to, especially the international wines, and traveling the world. It was my first time into Europe, and I've only read about this wine region in books, and to be in Champagne, to be in Burgundy, to be in the Moselle, to be, it was just so fulfilling, and having to compete there with the best tasters of the world.
In a major way,
Robert Coe and Warwick Ross, the Australian producers of Blind Audition, say they were drawn to the story of the four black Zimbabweans because they came from a background with no history and culture of wine.
And that's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shaboali.